brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Hello and welcome to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. This is another Suds show. I'm one of your hosts today, good old boy Mike, and joining me for this segment today is Reverend Mark.
Hello.
This is our wrap-up show for the Great American Beer Festival 2013. And this is the sounds of the festival that we've come up as well. We're going to play that throughout today and we'll explain exactly what that means. Listen, if you've not joined our show in the past, our Suds show are all about beer, and more beer. So I had a funny story about this. We were at the Epic Brewing Company tap room, and going around, we were running a contest, a trivia contest. Some of you will be able to read about it if you jumped on Facebook. And this, I was introducing myself, and this one young woman turned to me, and she said, she was very, very pregnant, by the way. So, and she said, "What are the Suds segments about?" She said, "Do you talk about laundry detergent?" And I said, No. And her friend said, "You have to pardon her. She's pregnant, and sometimes, her common sense just goes away." So anyway, for that young lady and plenty of other folks, all our Suds segments are definitely about beer, and more beer for sure. Today we're going to be talking about the Great American Beer Festival in Denver, Colorado for 2013, and a lot of great things to talk about. So definitely the one thing that we started with was the sounds of the festival, and we'll tell you all about what this means. So it's this. So this is a sound you just hear continually through the festival, like every single day.
Yeah.
And it apparently this started as, they used to use real glass, in the festival itself. And as people would drop their glass, you would definitely hear that sound. And then people started to chime in and react to the fact. And then all of a sudden it just kind of evolves into this giant wave coming over the entire hall itself. And everybody gets in on the act. So it's really funny, isn't it?
It is. It's and I think I only go back 3 years with GABF, but they were doing it back 3 years ago as well. So yeah.
Well, I don't think that I ever...
And it is something to cry about, if it's made of glass. That's why they're handing out plastic now.
They do. It doesn't sound quite this way anymore, at least for a couple of the sessions. But the members only, the Brewers Association members only session, it was glass, and it definitely sounded just like that, didn't it? The whole time. So even if it's plastic, people reacted the same way. I never got tired of that. It was really, really funny, and I found a lot of people were laughing around us as well. Got a good kick out of that. So the one thing about the festival is definitely the competition itself, and we wanted to talk about the competition for the GABF as well. I'll rattle off a little bit of statistics, everybody, to help you understand a little bit about what was going on for the competition itself. So there were 745 breweries in the competition from 49 states. There were 4,809 beers judged. This includes the 100 Pro-Am competition entries, which is about a 12% increase over last year. That's pretty amazing. I mean, that's a lot of beer.
That is a lot, and kudos to the judges, and they do have to come in obviously very early. I mean, early in the week, and even I think some the week before, and that's a lot to plow through.
Yeah, so there's 201 judges from 11 countries, and I started doing the math in my head, and that means that even if you broke down, the number of beers per judge, I mean, that's still a pretty large number of beers, per judge that they had to go through. I know that judges probably tend to work within a certain category or categories, so it's not like it's just one judge in one category or one one for one ratio. So the average number of competition beers earned in each were 51 different categories. So, I mean, that's just that's crazy. The category with the highest number of entries, here, take a bet. What's the category with the highest number of entries in the competition?
I don't recall, but I would just guess that it would be like an IPA.
There you go, American Style IPA, which was category. There were 252 beers entered just in that category alone. I think I probably had like 201 of them at the festival itself. I mean, there were a lot of IPAs in the room for sure. In the festival itself, there were 624 breweries in the festival hall. There were 3,100 beers that were served at the festival, with 49,000 people there for the festival. So, really, just a huge scale of not only just the competition, but of the festival itself. So, wanted to swing around and talk about the competition and kind of get our general reaction. There's some other elements about the competition that I thought were worthy of sharing. So 24 first-time entering breweries won awards. I mean, that's phenomenal. Just to come up for the very first time and win, that's incredible. I thought that was amazing.
And it's encouraging, as it should be. It's, people are not locked in.
Well, and even there were 230 breweries that were competing for the very first time. So that's 10% of nearly 10% of all the people that entered for the first time medaled. I mean, that's really great. That says something about the quality of brewing taking place here in America as well.
And it also shows that, it is a craft, and that the new breweries, not to say that the old ones still don't have this, the passion and the fire, but sometimes breweries, like any other kind of endeavor, you can rest on your laurels. And it's the new breweries that are coming forward. I mean, that they've got, just this great enthusiasm and love for beer, and it translates, in their product.
Well, there are a couple of breweries that definitely have not rested on their laurels and took home multiple gold awards. And so each of these breweries took home 3 gold awards. Pretty amazing to take home 3, let alone one. Left Hand Brewing in Longmont, Colorado took home 3 gold medals. And Firestone Walker Brewing Company in California won 3 as well. Those are definitely some really great breweries that have been around, for a while as well. And I think it really says something that exactly what you were saying. They're not just resting on their laurels and, going after the same beer.
Right, yeah. I remember when Firestone Walker first was established, they were winning. I think they've won 5 and 6 times at a GABF in the past. So it just means that even those guys who are they're at the cutting edge, and the fact that they're now feeling the competition is a good thing.
Yeah. The state that had the best ratio of medals to entries by the state, with 1 medal among 7 entries, was New Jersey. So I guess that says something about I would have thought California, but it definitely had the highest number of entries. 885 beers entered just from California. 885 from California, and they took home 52 medals. So California alone took 5.9% of all the medals at GABF. That's pretty amazing. Wow. I mean, that's 885 out of 4,000 entries. It's almost a fourth of all the beer entered just came from California alone, right?
Right.
That's pretty wild. Well, we wanted to talk about some highlights of a few key categories that are really popular among many of you that drink these styles of beer, as well as talk about any beers that medaled that we wanted to chat about, as well as any ratings that we had in each of these categories as well. So the one category I wanted to rip through here real quick was the American Style IPA. The gold medal went to Barley Brown Brew House out of Palajack. IPA is the name of that beer. The silver went to Firestone Walker, their Union Jack, and the bronze went to Le Coubre Brewing Company, the Project Dank, Operation Pharaoh's Return. That's a long name. You might want to get that a little more abbreviated next time, fellas. But anyway, I mean, I think that's... I knew it was going to happen again at some point in time. Anyway, so, I mean, that's those are all really great beers. And definitely the one that I've had quite a bit is the Union Jack. And, we've rated it. I don't think we've rated it on the show, but I've certainly consumed a lot of it. And I'm sure we'll go through a full rating and tasting. But, I mean, are there any of those beers that you've had that, you wanted to chat about?
Well, as far as the GABF, those who medaled at the GBF, one that I tried and I kept coming back to while we were in that region of the convention center was the let me see. I believe it was the
Union Jack.
No, the Surly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Surly was at the festival, but they didn't medal in that particular category.
No,
right?
not in the IPA, but in the amber.
Oh, okay.
And they took a silver in like an amber pale ale, but kind of it still had the hoppy. It's very hop forward amber beer.
Yeah.
And
it was.
I really like that.
And that was the first time that I tried a lot of the Surly beers. Here at the festival as well. A little difficult to find them, but really great beer. So I'm okay to say I've had enough of the Union Jack to rate that here on the fly, which is I would give it a 4. A body should really not make that sound. I know you've had the Union Jack. You want to go on the fly and rate it as well?
Well, I've had several of the Union Jacks. The Union Jack that I liked a lot was their Prevo. Prevo.
That's their pills. I think,
they're
right?
hoppy pills.
Yeah.
Because of a classic Czechoslovakian Pilsner, it has a lot of size there on the finish, so it's a very hoppy beer. And I thought they did a wonderful job with that.
You want to rate that?
I give that one a 4.
4 as well. Body should really not make that sound. Let's keep moving through some of the highlights here. The Imperial IPA, which I actually really love the Double Jack, from Firestone Walker. I was really surprised it did not make the list. I'll rip them off here real quick for you. The gold went to Fatheads Brewery, the Hop Juju. The silver went to Three Floyds Brewing, the Permanent Funeral, and the bronze went to Smart Mouth Brewing Company, Notch 9 Double IPA. I mean, really, this is definitely the top of the heap for the IPAs for sure. And I had not had any of these beers part of the festival, but I did get to taste 2 of them. The Fatheads Brewery Hop Juju, I did get to try that, and I'd probably rate that about a 3. I just thought it was okay for an Imperial IPA. It just really didn't kind of push me over the edge. The proximity between that booth and Firestone Walker, I believe, was about 100 feet. And so I was able to kind of run back and forth. And so, still not really quite sure I agreed that pulled the gold for me, but so maybe they tasted something I didn't. The other one was the bronze, the Smart Mouth Brewing Company, the Notch 9 Double IPA. I did get to taste that as well. And actually, I would rate that a 3 as well. What a relief. So, I don't know that I synced up with the judges there, but I did get to taste those 2 medal winners. Anything in the Imperial IPAs that really stuck out to you at the show?
Nothing that you haven't already mentioned. Of course, I am always going back for the Odell's Mercenary.
Wow. Yeah, and that is a really good beer. And actually, the biggest compliment we can give anybody is we actually went out and bought this beer and we're taking it home, right? Yeah. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So there are a couple other categories, and I wanted to mention just one here that definitely had caught my attention: the Urban Spice Beer category. And we actually talked about a beer. It was a flavor. It wasn't exactly this beer, but the silver came from Yak and Yeti Restaurant and Brew Pub. It is a chai milk stout. And I think that those are 3 words that should never be combined together, ever, ever, ever.
Not in a beer style.
So definitely there seems to be room for, a lot of expansion in the beer and the urban spice beer category. I couldn't believe, somebody would combine those things. So anyway, I'm sure someone will create a more powerful chai beer in the future. It definitely won't be anybody that I know.
And I think you won't see as much of that in certain states and regions where beer is just becoming, something that is popular with, a wider kind of consumer base. Very few breweries that I know where we live, at least, or where we travel, would want to take on that kind of a challenge of, say, scaling up a recipe to 7 barrels or beyond of a chai beer.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to happen again. So let's talk about one other very popular category, and that is the American-style Pale Ale and the strong Pale Ale categories and the winners in each of those. So for the American-style Pale Ale, the gold went to Lumberyard Brewing Company, Lumberyard American Pale Ale. The silver went to Cannondale or Cannonball Creek Brewing Company, the Featherweight Pale. The bronze went to Joseph James Brewing Company, the Citra Rye Pale Ale. That's amazing that a rye actually made it on that list. I thought that was the interesting part. And I didn't get to try any of those. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
That you remember?
Actually, I do think I had the Citra Rye because, I entered a honey rye myself for a Pro-Am. Mm-hmm. So I'm always very curious about beers that are similar, to the one I entered and, how they compare.
Well, I didn't get to taste any of these that I recall anyway, or that stood out for me. But in the American-style strong Pale Ale, the gold went to Monkey Paw Brewing Company. The how do you say that? Bonobos is the name of the beer. I probably butchered that. Sorry about that if I did. The silver went to Four Peaks Brewing Company, Hop Knot, and the bronze went to Pizza Port Ocean Beach, the Kung Fu Elvis, probably one of my favorite names, on the list. To combine both Kung Fu and Elvis, in one name. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I didn't get to try any of these that I recall either or rate them. Any of these come across as you were walking around and tasting beers as well?
I didn't have any of those, I'm sorry to say.
Well, it was really quite a very interesting competition. And were there any other medal winners that you wanted to chat about here to say, wow, I'm really they deserved a medal. I'm glad I got to taste that. And, any other rating that you had around any of the medal winners?
Well, I definitely would like to give a shout-out to Blackstone in Nashville, Tennessee, that took a silver medal in their brown porter. And this is, I think, maybe at least the 5th time and maybe the 6th or more time that they have medaled with this particular porter. I think it's fairly unusual for a GABF. You need to do a little research to see have any other particular breweries with a specific brew style medaled that many times.
Yeah, even if it's not back to back, the fact that they've been able to win so many times, repetitively with it. It was a conversation we had with a couple of people, while we're here as well. Do you just keep making the same beer over and over and over, or do you try to innovate and do something slightly different? I'm not really quite sure what, category that, how Blackstone would actually feel about, which way they say at the end of the day, it's a really good porter, isn't it?
Right. And why improve on something that, you have a style and you've dialed it in and the public is responding to it and the GABF keeps rewarding you. And this is one clear example of a beer, placing at the top because it is extremely, sort of the benchmark true to style brown porter.
It is definitely one of my favorite porters. And the fact that they've expanded beyond the brew pub and are distributing now in bottles and moving out to a regional distribution, definitely look out for Blackstone's porter.
St.
Charles porter. I knew I couldn't remember the name of it. The anniversary porter, definitely when it comes around, definitely need to definitely pick that up. I'll rate certainly Blackstone's porter, always in my house, as a 4. Body should really not make that sound as well. Really great porter, and definitely you see it, pick it up. Any other highlights from the competition? Anything else you got to taste?
Well, I would like to say about something I didn't get to taste, but that it really, and we both stood in line, was in the Belgian-style lambic or sour ale category. The gold medal winner was New Glarus, not surprised by that, with their blackberry sour ale. And
wow, we didn't get to try that.
Yeah.
Let's put that on our short list of things.
So I have a friend that lives in that area, and when he comes home for the holidays, I will reward him handsomely for.
I hope so. That would be great. That sounds like a great beer to try. We've had some other really great beers from New Glarus in the past, and so it's really great they continue to meddle as well as just making great beer in general. That line was definitely long. I mean, oh my God, there was probably 150 people in that line when we looked at it.
Yeah.
So they're definitely producing something that certainly is very appealing to a broad range of palates as well. Well, this swings us around to a couple of things we've chatted about, not only amongst ourselves, but with a broad range of people, which is we're going to call this this segment Fix the Fest. So there are definitely always things that it would be great to fix at the festival itself. I can almost see the website developing Fix the Fest, GABF 2014. And I have to say the Brewers Association is very responsive and listening to feedback, about the festival itself. And in fact, they announced some things that they are doing in the future, especially about expanding physically within the convention center here in Denver. Right. They're almost, I think they said doubling the space or expanding it, dramatically so that they can actually have more breweries that they can accommodate at the festival itself.
Right. And I think they say that will be pretty much done by 2015, I believe.
Well, I hope they don't add carpet flooring because I would miss that sound. Well, a related topic around, definitely the, people dropping their glasses. I really would like for them to add full glass rinsers, periodically throughout the festival. There are wine festivals that I attend all the time that have glass rinsing. It's not that difficult, to install those devices. I really found that it was both time-consuming as well as constantly having to worry about the state of what was in my sample glass constantly. It'd be very easy just to put a traditional glass rinser, push it down, rinse it out, walk to the next booth. I don't understand why that would really be that difficult, for them to deploy. And not that expensive either. So
yeah, and I found that there were a few times when I really did need to rinse. Sometimes it's more important than other times, depending on what kind of beer is still lingering in your glass, if it's like a sour ale or something. And I had to, a couple of times throughout the festival, get out of line to rinse my glass, only to have other people get in front of you. So,
well, you walk up to some booths and they have like 8 different styles of beer, and those pourers just want to pour beer. That's why they're there. And, they start really fast and you'll have a sour and they'll go, do you want to try the brown next? And I go, no, not until I rinse out my glass. Are you kidding me? So, I mean, it's just, I knew it was happening again. But it'd be really great, if they did install those. I really think it would add to, at least for the members session, at the very least, if there's some cost related to that, I don't know, maybe we need to sponsor that. Sip Suds and Smokes rinsing station at the next festival. Well, I really love your next idea, which is all about being able to sustain drinking all day.
Yeah, this came to mind as I was having to flee to the porta pot hinterlands quite often, as so many others of us did, of course. I was thinking maybe, we could engineer a non-invasive but very effective GABF certified catheter.
This would be capable of sustaining you for how long at the festival, you think?
Well, it'd have a 2-liter capacity, and you could strap it to your leg. It just don't wear shorts. That's the only thing.
I'm thinking sponsorship, all over the catheter bag itself, it's all about enduring. It was interesting that a few people we talked about this, they thought, well, why just limit it to the beer festival? This is like the perfect thing to take to a ball game.
Yeah, if you ever, was it the Broncos were playing yesterday? I mean, we weren't in the stadium, but I can imagine, gosh, how long would it take you to get from that upper tier?
That would definitely take away from the game itself, and I love people, their reaction to the idea as well. I mean, it's funny, but it's quite an effective idea. the number of festivals, that we attend all the time, can definitely think that I might be the first one at the line. Well, the last idea we had for Fix the Fest was something that I felt like was a recurring theme, that we had several times over, which is about the representation, at the Great American Beer Festival. It's very difficult for us to look at this and really call it the Great American Beer Festival because it is very heavily laden on the western half of the U.S., both with the number of entries as well as the breweries that are at the festival itself. And so we had a couple of suggestions, around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it obviously started here, and in Denver, takes great pride, as the city should, and as even the Brewers Association does from year to year. And I think this is sort of, this is the point of origin. It's the mecca of American craft beer. But I kind of see an analogy like that of, Disneyland. It started out in California as well. But not everybody could drive, from the eastern part of the United States all the way west in those days to go to Disneyland. So what eventually happened in Orlando, they had Disney World. So maybe we could have like a GABF West and then a GABF East.
Well, I think it's a very good idea, and I think what it would do, it would definitely, I think it'd certainly increase a lot of the marketing value in a regional manner. If the Breweries Association were to look at putting a festival on the East Coast and maybe do it, in the spring. So have this one in the fall, right, and then have a spring festival on the East Coast as well. There are a lot of really great beer festivals across the country, and we've been to a ton of them as well. I really enjoyed the Belgian Beer Fest in Boston. It was a really great, event put on, by another publication. But I still think that there is definitely room to make this happen. Maybe in Nashville, Tennessee, right?
Love to see it. Brand new convention center there.
Yeah, and a lot of beer drinkers definitely in that region as well. Although I can see some of the conversations at some of the booths, as people walking up. What's a sour beer? Has that got pickles in it? And a lot of people walking away going, I really don't like sour beer. You got any PBR back there? So I think the local crowd would be very different than what we saw here in Denver, that's for sure.
But Anheuser, Coors, and Miller are at the GBF. So,
that's true, they were. But there was nobody standing there getting samples that I saw. So... Listen, we're just going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back. We definitely have a lot more to share with you about GABF Denver, and definitely rate some beers for sure. We'll be right back. Well, thanks for coming back. And, I think the one sound that I wouldn't want to lose, even if the festival moved to the East Coast, would be that. I mean, you could at least alter it a little bit, and make it, something more like, just a little bit different. Or at least change the glasses to, maybe metal or something, or a giant clank, that would come along. So, we've enjoyed a lot of time around GABF itself, and really venturing out to other breweries. We talked about it here on the show this week. And I think that's one of the things that has definitely caught our collective attention is the town really has embraced this festival.
With just great enthusiasm. Obviously, it's good for commerce, for the economy. But, it seems as though when every brewery and brew pub that you enter, they're like just very knowledgeable about all the array of draft beers, and we didn't drink a lot of bottled product. Obviously, didn't want to, unless it was absolutely necessary. But even then, you found that local people here, and maybe it's because of just the industry so strong, that there is a higher level of education about all these different beer styles that exist and what that means.
Yeah, and a quick rundown of some really great places we were able to visit while we were here, and I would encourage you to swing by any of these establishments. The bars we went to, we really loved our time at Star Bar. It was really fabulous. Enjoyed the food at Biker Gems. It was really great.
Mm-hmm.
Falling Rock was a really great tap house. A little bit crowded, maybe for our taste. But really great beers on selection there at Falling Rock as well. We found ourselves traveling back to Hops and Pie quite a bit. Really great place. And great rotating staff. Really wonderful staff. They were really nice to us while we were here, and that was great. We enjoyed our time at a really great Belgian bar last night as well.
The Cheeky Monk.
The Cheeky Monk. Jennifer really treated us very well. And it was a nice respite for our palate as well, because there wasn't a whole lot of Belgian beer at the festival itself. There was a lot of Belgian-style beer, sporadically through there, but it was just nice to sit down and have a really good dish of mussels.
And the rabbit cassoulet.
We really ripped out a traditional Belgian beer session while we were at Cheeky Monk, and I would definitely encourage anybody to swing by there. We've definitely been beer shopping while we've been here in the Denver area as well, and I think one of the things that I like to pride ourselves doing here on Suds and Smokes is making sure we're talking about things that you can actually buy. And we're always checking out availability. What's the point about talking about something if you can't find it? So we were able to visit some really great retailers in the Denver area, and that I definitely wanted to shout out to as well. Colorado Liquor Mart had a really great selection. We enjoyed their staff there as well, quite knowledgeable. And we've been to was it Mondovino? I think was the name of it.
Yes.
Really nice guys, great shop. I enjoyed their beer selection, but I actually liked their wine selection a little bit better, in that store as well. But I really enjoyed the staff. Again, it's in a really quaint neighborhood here in Denver, and a really great place to stop by. Last place is Argonaut. I think that's right. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's the big place, isn't it?
Definitely a big warehouse.
Kind of a warehouse.
Style group, but definitely the best selection by far, easily. And they definitely had some things that we're not finding in some of the other places here in the area as well. Very knowledgeable staff. Really enjoyed meeting a lot of people at that store as well.
And they were nice enough on the limited release beer for GABF to limit.
So there was no
two per
hoarding.
customer.
Yeah,
right.
And so that was nice that they were able to spread things around a bit to allow people to get some of these products in a timely manner. So, and I can't say enough good things about the people in general here in Denver. Even the other places that we went to and ate and just had dinner or walking around, quite a friendly town. In fact, we found ourselves saying, yeah, I could live here. It's a pretty nice town.
Yeah, good. It's very cosmopolitan, but and urbane, but homey.
Yep. Aside from a questionable baseball team, they're all right. I'm sure I'll get hate mail about that for sure. Well, let's swing our attention to talk about beer, because that's definitely one of the things we always love to do. And I had some top beers that I wanted to swing back around and definitely revisit. A couple that we've chatted about on some previous episodes, and I just kind of wanted to reiterate them again. I mean, we were sitting last night at Cheeky Monk, and actually we've probably tasted about 1,500 beers this week between the two of us.
Now those are 1 ounce pours.
Yeah, that's
friends.
true. Yeah. And I wasn't swallowing. Were you?
No. Some we were dumping, to be quite honest.
Rather quickly.
Yeah.
The chai tea beer, definitely. But there's definitely three that I wanted to mention. Again, a couple that we've already rated. The first one is Chocolate Rain from the brewery. It hit me on the first day, and when you walk in and there are already 40 people in line for a beer, that definitely catches your attention rather quickly. And I can't say enough good things about this particular beer from the brewery. I really thought it was an awesome beer. We rated it previously, but I thought I'd reiterate that my rating for that was a 4. The second beer I wanted to chat about was probably one of my favorite sours of the show. And I really thought this might be the breakout year for sours. at GABF in general, and it was nice to see a lot of wide variety of sour beers available at the show, but there were a lot of swing and misses, and I just, really felt like in some cases it just, it was like, wow, this is not quite where we need to go, for sour beer programs. But anyway, I'm hopeful that, people will continue to swing at the pitch and continue to try. But this beer definitely was probably one of my top picks for top sour beers. And it's very difficult to even describe it as a traditional sour beer. The Two Candles from Drake's Brewery. I went back and actually tasted it 2 or 3 times. Really just wanted to make sure if I'm going to rave about this beer, it better be really good. It didn't meddle, but it's definitely a beer that we talked about on a previous episode, and I would encourage you to, if you do see it, to check it out. My Suds rating for that one also was 4. A body should really not make that sound. Last beer I wanted to chat about, and definitely something that kept me swooning for quite a while, was a beer from Weyerbacher. And this is the Weyerbacher 18. This is part of their anniversary series that they produce as well. This was released in June of 2013. It's the 8th installment in the anniversary series. It's a Weizenbach, and I don't know that I've really had a whole lot of this style of beer. The ABV was 11.1%, and it just it really had these really complex flavors. I thought it just I'm swooning even talking about it. I can't believe it. Dark fruit, chocolate, banana. It was just had all this stuff that just I felt like it was. I just could swoon about it forever. The only thing that was wrong with this beer is that they didn't hand me the whole bottle. That was about the only thing that was wrong with that. I couldn't rave enough about Weyerbacher 18, and I really hope that I have a chance to pick some of this up as well. I really nice beer. So my Suds rating, and one of the few 5s I'm dishing out this week, is the Weyerbacher 18. Listen to that hang time. Definitely give me another of that. What were some of the beers that hit your top 2 or 3 this week that either we've talked about previously or that you wanted to mention here, Reverend Mark?
Well, I'd say the one that we picked a couple of bombers up yesterday when we were at Epic, and that's the Big Bad Baptist.
Yep, a really great beer, and we enjoyed drinking it while we were at the Epic tap room as well. Yeah. And we had it at the Rare Beer Tasting was where we first saw it.
So, no, that was just a really flavorful, layered, many-dimensional, big stout.
Well, and the thing that we really had a lot of beer that had been aged in bourbon barrels, a tremendous amount of beer, both at the Rare Beer Tasting as well as in the hall itself. And I think one of the things that we found ourselves chatting about was it wasn't what was there, what was not there. And this particular stout, we both really felt like the bourbon was in check and it was well balanced, and that's the reason why we both like this beer a lot.
Yeah. And I'm also, it's just good to know that that Epic is, branching out. They began in Salt Lake City, and they've just relocated a new brewery here in Denver. And I'm hoping maybe their distribution will reach a little into the South now.
That'd be great. I know a couple bottles are definitely making their way to Tennessee today. So what's your rating on the Big Bad Baptist stout?
I'm going to give them a 5. There are a couple this week I've had that were 5s, and that's another one.
Yeah, I have to say that's worthy as well. And I probably listen to that anytime, give me another. And that was, again, the only thing that was disappointing about that is they didn't give us 3 glasses instead of 2. So it was very good. What else was on your short list for this week?
Well, I'd say that one that kind of took me off guard, and I'm not a big sour aficionado, but this one I just thought was just luscious and amazing. Rivertown Brewery had a pomegranate lambic. And I don't know, and I don't typically like pomegranate's fine, but it was just something in the chemistry of that beer, and they served it very cold. And I just thought, this is I could have a big snifter of this.
Your favorite sour or just a really great beer?
I'd say it's my favorite sour, yeah.
So what's your Suds rating on the
I'll
pomegranate?
give them a 4.
4.
Yeah.
A body should really not make that sound. And I know that product is widely available on the East Coast, and I definitely have seen Rivertown. I've seen the lambic itself in a lot of venues and available for a lot of people. So I actually didn't try it, and I probably should have turned around after you were raving about it and went back and tried it myself. But I didn't get to try that, and I guess I'll have to pick a bottle up, or maybe they'll be kind and drop us a bottle to let us rave about it a little bit more on a future show. It would be great. What else caught your attention this week?
There's a brewery up in Bellingham, Washington, and I like their barley wine. We had, we definitely had our fill of very big beers this week, but they had one that medaled, took a silver, called Old Bounder, and it's from the Boundary Bay Brewery in Bellingham, Washington, and I thought that was a very well balanced, adequately viscous, and warming, but not overpowering. I think it was maybe about a 9%, 10%, not 12 or so. Some caramel notes, a little vanilla. It wasn't barrel aged, but it still had that kind of a vanilla to it. So
what's your Suds rating?
I would give them a 4.
4. A body should really not make that sound. And I think that style of a beer, a barley wine, is really difficult to just consume in a 1-ounce tasting and really understand the complexity it brings to the table. In a few weeks, we're going to have our barley wine show. Definitely check it out. I went and we had like 30 barley wines we blind tasted, in that. And that was one of the things I remember through that experience was you really had to have, a big glass, let it sit and warm up, and then not only smell it, but you just can't barely sip on barley wine and really understand the complexities of the flavors, effectively. So it's pretty cool that it really stuck out that much with you, just, probably with 1 or 2 tastings. What else is on your list?
Another beer that stuck out, I think, because it was able to medal in a fairly competitive category of particular kind of beer that there are several handful of breweries that seem to have it, the market on it, so to speak, was the Beechwood Barbecue and Brewing Company in Long Beach, California, took a silver medal in their sweet sour category, sweet stout category rather, Utter Love.
Yep. And so what was your rating on Utter Love?
I give them a 4.
Wow.
And I'd also like to, give a shout out to the Beechwood Barbecue and Brewing Company because they also took the 2013 Mid-Size Brew Pub Brewer in Mid-Size Brew Pub Brewer of the Year Award.
Yeah, I mean, so Ian was actually at the media luncheon, and this was a beer that we both got to have, at the media luncheon, and it was actually the beer we opened up with, sitting there. I don't know, at this media lunch, we had 6 or 7 beers, there as we were sitting. And he was able to get up and talk about, I guess one of the things I enjoyed, he got up and said, every time somebody asked him a question about, so what's your plan for brewing? He said, we're going to make great barbecue.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
And I'm thinking, all right, you've got barbecue and beer. Now, where else do we need to go?
I know. It just, I really enjoyed the fact that he had a very lighthearted nature about the way he approached what he was doing. I really enjoyed the beer. What was your Suds rating on the Utterly Love? Was that it?
Utter Love, yeah.
Utter Love, yeah.
A 4.
A 4. And I would share the same sentiment. Really great beer. A body should not really make that sound. And definitely if you swing by Beechwood, not only get the barbecue, but definitely try out that beer. It was really good. Anything else?
Well, there was one that I ran from.
Okay.
It was a category gluten-free beer tent.
My God.
I ran from there. Please
stop making
I think
that.
of the Monty Python Quest for the Holy Grail where they're at the French castle where they're going, run away, run away.
I'm sorry, but I mean, I respect people that have, I think it's celiac disease. And, the things that you have to traverse, if you truly have that disease and are very sensitive, to wheat products, I might encourage you to enjoy some other beverages that do not contain wheat. There is a whole other choice of wine, that you'd be able to enjoy, and definitely check out plenty of our sip shows that you would be able to enjoy a wide variety of products. So there is a bit of some bastardization, by doing that. It's a little difficult for me to get through, as well. So, I would promptly request you please stop making that beer for sure. That would be great.
If I had to just comment on one more that I took notes on, and even took a little picture of it so I could look for it when I get home, is the Stewart's Brewing Company, their Stumbling Monk. And it was a Belgian gold, and they took a gold medal with that as well, and I would give that a 4.
Well, a lot of great beer, definitely, to go back and look for as we're returning back to several different geographic locations, and I'm sure as a lot of people have left GABF, they'll be looking for a lot of these beers for several months to come. It's really great that there was a lot of great things that happened this week. I know I had a really great time here at the festival. We're even kind of planning the next one in our head already, aren't we?
Yep.
I think you're already playing the next one. You're taking the competition for sure.
I'm taking my competition on the road.
Well, I really want to thank Reverend Mark for joining me, not just for this episode, but definitely going to GABF with me. We've had a really good time this week, and it's been great that we got to share our experience together, as well as share it with our audience. It's been a lot of fun.
I learned so much just by being here and interviewing the people that we talked to at the different breweries and pubs, and it's been both a fun and an enlightening experience.
I know, and I'm trying to think a way I'm going to get through this and find my next Waldo costume to get through as well. Well, I want to thank our listeners for joining us for this episode and the ramp-up episode for GABF in general. We've had a great time this week. Definitely catch all of our tasting notes on Twitter at SipSudsSmoke. That's without an S at the end. A lot of great information on Facebook, including our GABF photo album, and you'll get to see what Reverend Mark and I look like in real life. I want to just disregard some of those, but definitely some of the audience at GABF. I'm going to find my Waldo outfit, I think, for the next one.
Yeah.
Definitely some very interesting costumes. I thought it was like a combination of Comic-Con and a beer festival at times.
Yeah, and a little Oktoberfest thrown in there, too.
Definitely a lot of people with lederhosen and decked out as beer wenches, for sure. I thought that definitely caught my eye as well. Well, that's it for this episode. Again, thanks for joining us. This is good old boy Mike. I'm going to ask you to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.